Scene 3. In Assesdean. Left, a smithy. Right, in a corner, a bench on which the hunter and the traveller are sitting. The hunter. Now we have travelled quite a way together, and not come any closer to each other. Not even so that I have a clue as to who you are. As I told you, I'm a soldier, fighting to keep my personal independence. But not always winning. One cannot ask for that. Especially as lost battles are the most instructive. For the victor. But the worst of it is one never knows who's won. In the last war, it was the victor who lost most. Which war? The one at the windmills. May I borrow your penknife? I lost mine in the mountains. One shouldn't be inquisitive. If you just observe this knife, it will tell you a lot. The big blade's scarcely used, so the owner's no craftsman. The little blade, on the other hand, shows traces of lead and coloured crayons. He may therefore be an artist, but perhaps only an amateur. The corkscrew's worn, that he can understand, and the bottle opener too. But then there's also a gimlet and a saw. Yes, and a skeleton key which is far more significant. But as it's only thrown in with the rest, taken by and large, we have no information. Well, so this is Assesdean. Enter the schoolmaster. Here comes the schoolmaster. This time we'll hold our tongue so as not to be involved. As if that will help. The schoolmaster. Abracadabra. 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 Gazes at the strangers. No, they did not hear. Again. Abracadabra. 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 No. They're superior beings. They have self-control. Gentlemen, he who is silent gives his consent. I've come to ask if you will receive a deputation of the leading intellectuals of the village, who will engage you in a battle of words. If I get no answer, I'll take it as affirmative. 1, 2, the hunter and the traveller. No! The schoolmaster. Fine! The traveller. You're not such a fool, considering you come from Assesdean. The schoolmaster. I'm the only sane fellow in this place. Therefore I must make myself out to be an imbecile, or else they'll shut me up. I had an academic education, and I've written a verse tragedy in 5 acts called Patermagatan, which is so damned silly that I should have won the prize. But the village blacksmith got the better of me. He produced a memorial of the nation's destroyer, and so I was passed over. I am one who was always passed over. You gentlemen will think me egotistical, talking like this about myself, but there are 2 reasons for it. Firstly, I have to explain myself. And secondly, he wouldn't like it if I talked about you. The blacksmith's steps are heard. Oh, here comes the blacksmith. I must disguise myself, or he'll think me sane and have me shut up. The schoolmaster puts on ass's ears. Enter the blacksmith. The blacksmith. Abracadabra. 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 The schoolmaster. Good day, axe handle. The blacksmith. Is that a hit at me? Life is a fight, and we're part of it. Are you referring to the emancipation question, or to free trade? Twice 2 is 4, and 6 more makes 8. Agreed? I reserve to myself all mathematics, as that is my principal subject, particularly quatuor species, which means the 4 simple rules of reckoning, fractions included excepting, of course, simple whole fractions and decimal fractions. Sometimes even great Homer falls asleep. But 6 and 4 make 11, and if one moves the decimal 2 points to the left, it'll be straight as a nail. Isn't that so, gentlemen? Am I not right? The traveller. Absolutely. 6 and 4 make 11, and not 8. Now we'll pass to lighter matters. Or, if I may say so, subjects of conversation. Gentlemen, a subject of conversation is not blown from the nose, if I may so express myself, even if such a subject is light. A light object of conversation, closely observed, falls into 2 equal parts. First comes the subject, for everything must have a subject, and then the conversation flows of its own accord. Furthermore, the subject may be as numerous as days in a year, or more still, say, as drops in the ocean, or yet more so, as sands in the desert. True, I have never been in a desert, but I can quite clearly imagine how it looks. On the other hand, I did once do a journey by steamboat. It was expensive, gentlemen. I take it you've never made such a journey, but that wasn't what I meant to say.
Guano Islands lie 56 degrees to north, 13 degrees east by east to south.
If this is a dig at me, I don't like digs.
But that is nothing compared with Charles the Great.
No, but it is harder to shoe a nag so it doesn't get lopsided.
Hafiz also very rightly remarks in the 3rd Surah, page 79 and following, Each man, you never know when you'll have the chance again.
I only want to explain that one says Pagina just as one says Carolina and China and so forth. Or does one say Pagna?
Yes.
Right's right. That's my principle. Now, schoolmaster, do you know when Julius Caesar was born?
The year 99 before Christ.
Before Christ? That's impossible. The calendar begins at year 1. And one can't count backwards, can one?
Can't one count backwards?
Take care, don't begin to argue. Take care. You've such a weak head, anything might happen. Can you tell me the difference between rye and wheat?
The schoolmaster. Julius Caesar was born in 99 and died in 31.
Look here, how can that be? Did he live backwards? The difference between rye and wheat is first of all the price of grain or the land tax. And secondly, free trade. For rye is protected and wheat is free. Isn't that right?
Yes.
But currency, that's another matter. I deal in silver, I won't deny that. The exchange is another matter too. So are the quotation rates, and argue again is something different.
What is it then?
What is it? Do I have to stand here and tell you what it is? Haven't I anything else to do? Haven't I paid my taxes? Am I not married? I'm only asking. Only asking. If anyone has any objection to make, I'd like to talk to him in private. In private. Do you know what that means? Behind the stable. Don't speak. I can't stand being answered back. No one must ever answer me back. Now, do you consider all these questions settled in my favor? Or shall we go behind the stable? I'm a very serious man. I'm not to be trifled with. Now, gentlemen, you see what an ass you have before you? I don't mean me, but the schoolmaster, who believes a man can be born before the calendar begins. You ought to know exactly what kind of fellow he is. Well, he's the most miserable ignoramus that ever walked in shoes. He's so ignorant he believes in the Guano Islands, and there's no such place.
He picks up a bottle and takes a gulp.
He doesn't know the difference between rye and wheat, and he boozes into the bargain. Perhaps you think I booze too, but only a tipple. I can't be called boozing. That's something different. Knowledge, gentlemen, is a virtue, but the schoolmaster knows nothing, and it's his place to educate the children. He's a despot, a tyrant, a domineering wretch, and a bully into the bargain. Now you know what he is.
The traveller. Stop a minute. I certainly don't intend to answer you back, because then you'd fight, and I'm not going to cross-examine you because if I did, your knowledge would show its absence. I'm not going to offer you a drink because it's unnecessary, nor am I going to argue with you because you wouldn't understand what I meant and you'd never admit my points. But I should like to ask you one thing.
Ask, but ask nicely.
The traveller. You consider yourself something of a character?
Certainly I'm a character. A strong character at that.
Moreover, you deal in silver?
I'm proud to say I do.
Don't you recognize gold as the standard in the world market?
No, not gold.
Not in private businesses either? I must think a while.
Aside.
Does he mean to cheat me on the exchange? I won't answer that. No one can force me to answer it. And although I'm full of sense, I can't make any sense of what you're saying.
Really? Were you afraid your strong character wouldn't stand the test?
Are you slandering me? Don't do that because I'm the boss here. I'm a despo.
The traveller laughs.
Don't look at me, for I'm a terrible despo.
The traveller. I wasn't looking at you. I was only laughing.
Don't laugh. I have a vote in the parish as a tax-paying citizen. It's no laughing matter. I have 5 children, all well-educated, very gifted, especially in regard to brains. 2 of them, it is true, are in America. But, well, such things do happen. And one made a false step, but he has paid for it, so there's nothing more to say about that. Nothing at all.
The traveller, aside. He's superb. The hunter. But this must stop. I'm suffocating. The blacksmith.
I'll just go and get my manuscript. Then the festivities can begin. But you gentlemen mustn't leave. I'm the mayor and have authority. The schoolmaster is about to read his tragedy Potamochiton. It's not so bad for an amateur. But many hounds cause the death of the hare.
The schoolmaster. And the lions walk by themselves like great goslings.
Is that a dig at me?
It scarcely can be, since you are full grown.
Full-fledged it's called when it's birds. Read nicely now for the gentleman, and I'll soon be back. But don't slander me in my absence.
The traveller. But in your presence it's impossible.
That's true. Of 2 evils, one must choose the least. So slander me in my absence and not my presence.
Exit. The traveller. What is this village? A lunatic asylum? Yes, they are so ill-natured they've gone mad. And are you an inmate? I'm kept under observation, because I'm suspected of being sane. Come with us, and we'll give them the slip. Then all 3 of us will be caught. So it isn't all just folly? Evil is folly's mother, and its child at the same time. Who is that smith? He is a god of filth, such as Isaiah speaks of. He is composed of the hatred, jealousy, and lies of all the rest. The smith became mayor because the baker was the most deserving man. When I had served faithfully for 25 years, the day was made a celebration for the blacksmith. At the last ass's gala, the smith got the laurel wreath, because he had written the worst verses. The hunter. Better to run away than lose the battle. We can't win this. So we must run away. The traveller. We're in mortal danger here. But most dangerous of all is to run away. Can't we trick them? As they're such fools? But like all fools, they are cunning. We'll try it. Calls. Blacksmith! Enter the blacksmith.
Abracadabra! Abracadabra!
The blacksmith.
What is it? Are you gentlemen thinking of leaving? Don't do that. On no account do that.
We're only going to the next village to requisition properties for the show.
To do what?
Requisition properties.
Requisition. Well, I suppose requisitions are always welcome. Are there any smithy properties at all?
There are shoe nails, axle bottles, scythes, and spades.
Splendid!
But we must have the schoolmaster to help us carry them.
He's so weak. And such a simpleton.
But the properties are only paper, so he'll be able to manage them.
Very true, very true. But axle boxes are heavy. That'll be too much for him.
Property axle boxes are no heavier than property nails.
Very true, very true. Well, go along then. But you must come back.
Don't you realize that if one goes, one's bound to come back?
Wait a minute. What is it that goes and never comes back?
That's the clock. But we are not clocks, so we will come back.
That's logic. And I understand it. But, wait a minute. Don't your clocks come back?
They aren't clocks, they're watches.
Ah, very true, very true. Clocks can strike, but watches are something different. And bells strike too, but they do not go.
Ergo,
but we're going. That's the main point.
Exactly, that's the main point. And it's logical. I like logic in all walks of life. And I can only follow a strictly logical argument.
Then don't follow us, for we aren't a logical argument.
Exactly. So I will stay here at my post and you will go. Go along.
The traveller. Sing the praise of the ass, you great rhymesmith. Wisest of all animals on earth, with your long ear trumpets you have the finest hearing of them all. You hear grass growing underneath the stones at the same moments you look both east and west. Strong character is shown in your stiff legs, and your own will is your master's law. When you should stand, you run instead. When whipped to run, then you stand still.
That's really very well said. For the mammal in question has belonged to the world of the unappreciated, to the camp of the dumb, and deserves to be
rehabilitated. But did you ever hear of a dumb ass?
No. But I don't bother about that. I concern myself with the character, the strong character, and therefore I understand this misunderstood animal. Yes, indeed I do.
Do you take your stand on that?
I take my stand.
Then we'll be off.
Wait a minute. I take my stand, but I don't stand alone. I have public opinion on my side and a party. All right-thinking, enlightened, undeluded people. In short, the whole nation rallies round my banner, and from my standpoint I'll show you are wrong. For right is right. Isn't that logic?
The schoolmaster. The highest right is the highest wrong.
And the voice of the people is the voice of God. Come in, people! Rally, nation!
A few persons enter. The traveller. Here is the nation. But how few they are!
These are few, but you don't see the massed ranks behind them.
No, I can't see anything like that.
You can't see them for the very simple reason that they are invisible. That's illogical. People, these learned charlatans maintain that there is such a place as the Guano Islands. Is there such a place?
The people. No.
Then these gentlemen are either liars or blockheads. Is there any punishment severe enough for such villains who spread lies?
The traveller. Yes. There is one more cruel than any other, and that is exile.
Not a bad idea. But we must have full evidence against them first. Here is one that asserts Homer slept.
At times.
At times or all the time, it comes to the same thing. That's mere sophism. Do you people believe that a poet can sleep? Have you ever heard anything so idiotic?
One of the people. But surely he slept at night.
At night? Is that an answer? Have I given permission for an answer? Come round behind this table and I'll give you an answer, I will.
One of the people.
Is it a matter of taking sides? Yes. People must take sides or else they're just characterless opportunists.
The schoolmaster. To the blacksmith. Aren't you going to read from your Charles the Great now? Then we can get away from this brawl. The visitors are in a hurry. Aside to the hunter and the traveller. His name isn't Charles the Great, but we must call him that, or else we'll be put in the gaol.
I heard what you said, and I saw you two sneering. He who sneers is an accomplice. Shut them up! You know what I mean, seize them! His name isn't Charles the Great, but we shall call him that because he definitely was great. Give them a punch on the jaw and lock them up until they come to their senses.
The hunter, the traveller, and the schoolmaster are seized and are about to be removed. The hunter.
But we have been exiled, and we must go to town to fetch properties. That's quite right. Everything's quite right. You have leave to go, but on your word of honor to come back, and on, or rather against, your promise to be grateful, for an ungrateful person is the heaviest burden on the earth. Now I have, it so happens, a wife who has a salon. Yes, it may sound ridiculous, but you see, it is a literary salon. And I shall expect you gentlemen to turn up at the first reception.
The traveller. So we are free. But at what a price? The hunter. Can it be called freedom to be chained by one's word of honor to the forge of a literary salon?
Be off with you! But the nation is to stay.
As the hunter, the traveler, and the schoolmaster go, the curtain falls. Scene 4. The arcade in Tophet. In the arcade. Right, a cafe, then a photograph booth, then a shell shop. Left, a fruit and flower stall and a Japanese tea and perfume shop. The hunter and the traveler are sitting outside the flower stall. The traveler. You're very gloomy. The hunter. I've come down too far. You been in Tophet before? Yes. I lived here once. I could see that. We must get some chloroform. My wounds are beginning to ache. Vinu met circenses. There'll be plenty of free shows here. This appears to be the town sewer through which everything runs. He waves towards the cafe. A waitress brings wine. Won't you be recognized here? Impossible. I've let my beard grow and cut my hair. Besides, I washed my hands this morning. In this town, one is never recognized if one washes. But the waitress is staring at you. Perhaps I resemble one of her former friends. Here comes a little entertainment. Enter the organ grinder with a monkey. Come along, musician, and we will redeem our heads for a good sum. The organ grinder. Heads? The traveler. Well, ears then. You'll get a gold coin here not to play. The organ grinder. But the monkey is the chief attraction. Then we'll look at him, but without accompaniment. But there's the text too. Is it true that all of you in this town are descended from a monkey? What a thing to ask. When I look at you more closely, I believe it is true. I'm sure of it. I could swear to it. May I look at the text? But this head of Zeus looks more like a ram. Yes, it really does. Very well, then. So it is. Do you really believe that mammal in the red jacket with the gun is the father of the human race? If you're a free thinker, you'd better take care. We're orthodox in this town, defenders of the faith. Which faith? The only true one. The doctrine of evolution. Exit the organ grinder. The hunter. Now we'll probably be charged with blasphemy. Where's the schoolmaster got to? Having made use of us, he's disappeared, of course. Shall we go? What's the point? It makes no difference whether we fall into the hands of these people or others. For people look like robbers in the ditches ready to spring upon one another. Look at the cafe window. That girl's standing there, gazing at you with eyes of entreaty as if begging you out of kindness or pity to rescue her. She's pretty, and could arouse feelings other than pity. Well, suppose you were to decide to free her from her heavy and degrading job. Supposing you were to offer her a home and protection from life's worst hardships. What then? Before long she would have robbed you of your friends, separated you from your family, ruined you with your superior and patrons. In a word, she would have devoured you. And if I didn't permit that, she would sue me for cruelty, and for having destroyed her youth. But the worst thing of all is that you'd find yourself in a family that you don't know, but can imagine. Yes. She's standing there, drawing, sucking, creating a whirlpool. She's spinning a net that feels like warm air. Wait, I'll go and destroy it, or be caught in it. The traveler goes into the cafe. Man overboard. Enter the photographer with a camera. The photographer. May I take your portrait, sir? No. Please do me this favor. I'm so poor. Very well. But you mustn't put me in a showcase or a packet of cigarettes or a tablet of soap. And if I come out like an Australian Negro or the latest murderer, you must destroy the plate. How suspicious you are, sir. Not at all.
Just a little prudent. The photographer beckons to his booth. Euphrosyne enters. Allow me to introduce my wife. She helps with the developing and printing. Come along, Euphrosyne. I have promised to take an outdoor picture of this gentleman, although I'm so busy. You talk to him while I do the job. Euphrosyne, sitting down. You must have been born lucky, sir, to meet such an artist as my husband. He's the cleverest one I've ever seen. And if this picture isn't good, then you can say I don't understand art. So you must appreciate his work and not behave as if you're doing us a favor. The hunter. Wait a minute, no. You mustn't look so haughty. When you beg a favor of someone, you must be grateful. Stop a moment, the photographer calling. Goddard, come here. You put the plate in back to front. Enter Goddard. I didn't put the plate in. Euphrosyne. Are you answering your father back? Your own father? I don't know anything about cameras. Shells are my job, The photographer. Your job, yes. But do you sell any? Ask this gentleman if he wants any shells. I think he said something just now about shells. The hunter. I never mentioned shells. I only mentioned cigarettes and soap. Euphrosyne. Goddard, bring some cigarettes. Didn't you hear the gentleman say he wanted some? I wanted to avoid having my face on a cigarette pack or a soap wrapper. Goddard, sitting down. You're difficult to deal with, I see, sir. Well, let's reason a little. Then we'll get it straight. Euphrosyne. You're right, Goddard. When he gets to know our ways, he'll understand. Tell Clara to come out. Goddard, calling. Clara! Enter Clara, the flower seller. Euphrosyne. You try and sell a flower to this gentleman. He's so economical, or rather mean, that he won't buy a single shell, although Goddard has the most beautiful ones I've ever seen. Clara, sitting down. Perhaps he can be talked round, although he looks so haughty. Is he a hunter? Euphrosyne. You can see he is. He looks cruel. Like all drunkards. Yes, anyone who drinks in the morning is a drunkard. He kills animals. He shouldn't do that. It's a sin. The hunter, to Clara. What have you done with your husband? Clara is terrified. It's a sin to kill people. Don't you know that? Is that your opinion? Yes. That's my opinion. You hear, witnesses? That's his opinion. All. Yes, we heard. The hunter. May I say one word? Just one. No. Why should you? I'm not going to say what you think, but something quite different. Euphrosyne, curious. Say it then. Has Muller been arrested yet? All rise in horror. The traveller, entering from the cafe. What's going on now? Has Muller been arrested yet? All scatter, but look threatening. For the third time. Has Muller been arrested yet? All disappear. The traveller. What was all that about? It's the town's secret. Everyone knows the last murder was committed by Muller, but no one dares denounce him as there isn't sufficient evidence. As a result of the bomb I've just dropped, we must take ourselves off at once. Come on, I can't. Caught. In a bar. Dregs and glasses, matches and cigars, ash pawned by young men soiled with smoke and nightlife. Yes, in spite of all that, in spite of everything. Caught. Break loose. I can't. Let's run for it. I can't. Then stay. I can't. I can't do anything. Then I must bid you farewell. We shall meet again. That's always so. When one's met once. Then, goodbye. Exit the traveller into the cafe. Left alone, the hunter walks a few steps in the arcade, and then stops aimlessly in front of the photographer's showcase. This place was once my own, but but long ago. On rainy days I walked beneath this roof of glass. When murky days lay heavy on my heart, in here the lights were always lit. Flowers and fruits rejoiced my eyes, shells murmured fairy tales from the seas. In this case are portraits of acquaintances, and near acquaintances companions of my solitude. One look, one expression was enough for me to feel my kinship with these mortals. There they still are. Here is my oldest friend. He must be growing grey, but his portrait, like leaves in autumn, has just grown yellow. Here I see relatives, previous relatives, a brother-in-law no more. And here, O Saviour of the world, preserve me, for I grow faint. My child who was but is no longer mine. Another child who is yet mine. And here was my cafe, our table. For a long time now all this has ceased to be, yet it exists. In memory. That fire which never can be quenched, which burns but does not warm, which burns but does not burn away. The old Japanese enters from the tea shop. He has the appearance of a dying man. The hunter goes up and supports him. The Japanese. A human being at last. Where from? Where going? The hunter. From the great highway. How can I be of service? Help me to die. One can always die. Do not say that. I can live no longer. But I have no one to turn to for the last services, for in this Tophet there are no human beings. What services do you mean? You must hold my sword, while that I cannot do. Why do you want to die? Because I can live no longer. Tell me the long tale then in a few short words. Yes. I left my country because I had committed an offense. I came here absolutely determined to become an honest man by strictly observing the laws of honor and conscience. I sold good wares at a reasonable price, but the inhabitants of this place only wanted bad wares at a low price. So I had but one choice, if I were not to perish. Instead of distilling the perfume of flowers, I gave them chemicals. And instead of tea leaves, I gave them leaves of sloe or cherry. At first my conscience was silent. I had to live. But one day, 15 years ago, I woke up. Then it was as if all I had been, all I had done was written in a book. And now the book was opened. Day and night and day, I read all the false entries, all the irregularities. I struggled, but in vain. Death alone can liberate me, for the evil is in my very flesh. My soul I have purified by suffering. In what way can I help you? This way. I shall take a sleeping draught and become as one dead. You will have put me in a coffin, which will be carried to the crematorium. But if you were to wake, that is just what I am counting on. For a moment I shall feel the purifying, redeeming power of the fire. For a short while I shall suffer, then feel the bliss of deliverance. And after that? After that you will gather the ashes in my most precious vase, and put your name upon it. What is your name? One moment. I have traveled, sinned and suffered by the name Hiroshima, after my native town. But in my country it is the custom, when the man dies, for him to give up his old cursed sully name, and to be given a new one, which is called his eternity name. This name alone is put on his tombstone with an epitaph, and then a bough of the sakaki tree is burned for him. Have you these things ready? I have. Look at this. The hunter, reading. What does this name mean? Hara hara to. It means rustling leaf, whispering silk. But it also means falling tears. And the epitaph? Chiru hana wo. Nani ka uramin. Yono naka ni. Wagami mo tomo ni. Haran mono kawa. And this interpreted? The blossoms are falling. Why should I feel aggrieved? The gods have willed it. And I too must, as the flowers, turn to dust some day. I will carry out your last wish. But have you no heirs? I had once. I had a daughter who came here 3 years ago when she thought I was going to die. She came for the inheritance. But when I did not die, she grew angry, could not hide her feelings, and went away again. Since then she has been dead to me. Where is this that we have talked of to take the place? Outside the town. At the crematorium. Are we to go together or to meet there? We shall meet in the arbor of the inn. I have only to bathe myself and shave. Very well. We will meet there. The Japanese going towards his shop. Here comes a murderer. Be on your guard. Is that he? Be on your guard. He is the most powerful man in town. Exit the Japanese. Enter Müller the murderer. He is stiff and pompous. His arms dangle awkwardly. He stares at the hunter. The murderer. Is it? No. It's not. Oh, then it is. No. It was. The one you mean is no more. Then you are dead? Yes. 12 years ago I committed harakiri. I executed my old self. The one you see here now you do not know and can never know. Yes, I remember. You were fool enough to put yourself in the pillory. On that blood-red carpet you publicly confessed all your faults and failings. And the whole community revelled. Everyone felt themselves better people, as if they were vindicated by my social death. No one said a single word of compassion or of approval for my action. Why should they? However, when after 10 years of suffering I had atoned and put everything right again, it occurred to me that I ought to confess your sins as well. Then the tune was changed. Devil take you! You who have, for example, committed murder. You can't say anything like that when you have no evidence. I know you are the most powerful man in the community. That you bully the Grand Duke himself through the agency of the Freemason gang, which... What's that? You know very well. A league which is not the Holy One. And what about you? I've never belonged to the league, but I recognize it by certain signs. Look in the window of that paper shop and you'll see who you are. You mean that character? That's not me, that's you. That's how you look inside. That's your creation. You're welcome to it. You have a great talent for shaking off your vermin. Do the same yourself in the same way, but not on to me. Execute yourself, as I did, as I had to, when you made me into a scapegoat, onto whom you loaded all your guilt. What are you talking about? Take an example. Once a certain heretic wrote this piece of idiocy, that if he was standing alone on Gowrie Sinkar, and the flood came and drowned the whole human race, no harm would have been done at all, so long as he remained alive. At the next carnival, Gowrie Sinkar was carried in the procession, but on its summit stood not the heretic, but I. What have you to say about that? And on my birthday, he had the celebrations. When I invented the new insulators, you received the prize, but when you committed murder, I was accused. Moreover, when sugar shares went up, people blamed my insulators, although you had received the prize for the invention. To think of anything as perverse, you would have to first stand on your head and then turn yourself back to front. Have you any evidence that you dare call me a murderer? Yes, I have. The murderer appears amazed, but I dare not use it before a jury of your friends. They would deny the facts and have me arrested. Now tell me something. Who is that girl in there who caught my companion? She is your daughter. The hunter clutches his heart, and his face grows white. He presses a handkerchief to his mouth. It becomes red with blood. That child, who has been brought up by you. Now I must go to the crematorium. He goes out.